Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on your CBSN Denver Daily Sports Line, brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sports books. Another good night to bet on the Colorado Avalanche. Boy, what a performance they had offensively last night. If you were on the over, that cashed at the end of the first period. It was 4-2, so the 5.5 was not a sweat at all. And then the Burakovsky to get a point, which I told you about yesterday, that cashed in the first 2 minutes of the game. So a really good night if you were betting on the Avalanche, who came away with an 8-4 victory over the Anaheim Ducks. Tonight we got the Nuggets and the Charlotte Hornets meeting up at Ball Arena, and I want to bring in BetMGM's Jason Scott joining us tonight to talk some hoops. Jason, as you look at this game, Nuggets 6.5-point favorites. We know they have been kind of wishy-washy, but they're playing some good basketball right now. What do you think about this game? Anything that you like?
I do. Look, you're right. The Nuggets have been wishy-washy, but what they have been is the best starter in the NBA. Again, I think they might have only scored 14 points in the third quarter the other night, but they came back and won easily. I would, if I was having a bet, I'd take the -3.5 at halftime myself, but I think they'll cover the 6.5 and win.
Yeah, the third quarter is always the thing you got to watch out for with the Nuggets. It struck them again the other night against the Pacers, and then they went on to win by a whole bunch. The over-under in that one, 228.5. Personally, I think I'm going to keep riding the Michael Porter Jr. train here. His points props is at 16.5. He's hit that in in his last 8 games, rather. He is averaging 19.3 points per game, only had 17 or less once in that 8-game stretch. And the rebounds in the last 9 games, he's averaging 9.8 rebounds per game, only had below 7 once during that stretch. That's at 7.5. It's a little juiced up at -140, but that's cash for us here recently, so I think I'm going to continue to ride that tonight. Jason, as you look at the totality of the NBA slate this evening, anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, look, I mentioned before the love and the work that I do in quarters and halves. San Antonio are the worst starters in the league. And I think the Bulls coming off last night, having a good win. San Antonio without DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge still sitting out waiting for some change. It's -120 to lead at the first quarter. I think San Antonio are 11-24 in the first quarter against the spread for the season. I'm happy to be on the Bulls to make the fast start.
I like that. I think actually Chicago could get off to a fast start and maybe even come away with a victory tonight against San Antonio. The NCAA tournament, of course, coming up this weekend. Jason, first 4 games tipping off on Thursday. As you look at the first round here, what stands out to you?
Well, in the early games, we can't write a bet on the 16 seeds, but there's been a lot of interest in both the Drake game and the UCLA Michigan State, and we're seeing two-way action on both sides. When we get into the tournament, the games where we've seen a majority of the action have been where you would expect the big schools giving away the big starts. The exception there's Baylor. We have seen some money at plus 26.5. The other side, so it's down to 26. But Michael, the market where we're seeing the most interest is the sum of the seeds of the teams that make the Final Four. We're betting -115 both sides, under 11.5. We can only lay the 11.5, so it's the favourites all our punters want. But I think it's a good, interesting market for a bit of fun.
Yeah, and you and I were talking before we started recording today. It's hard to see a lot of upsets. Hard to feel like we're going to see maybe a Cinderella story like we have in the past seasons.
It feels like the number ones are going to be right around the mark, if not the number twos. I mean, we've got a couple of injury concerns specifically over Michigan, but I tend to think our customers are right on the mark here, and the under 11.5 will be cashing.
Jason, if I gave you Gonzaga and Baylor against the field, what are you taking?
If you give me Gonzaga against the field, I'm taking the field.
Okay.
They've beaten numbers 2, 3, and 4 in the country. They've only had one game within double figures, and everybody knows they're going to have 3 blokes go in the first round. It's theirs to lose.
Yeah, Gonzaga -175 to win the West and +200 to win the whole thing at BetMGM. Jason, good luck in the NCAA tournament. Look forward to seeing how everything shakes out, and we'll talk to you again next week, okay?
Thanks, Michael.
Hey, that's going to do it for your CBSN Denver Daily Sports Line, brought to you by BetMGM.